And tonight we have a couple of folks who are going to come up and talk about their property. One of their deals. They've done a few deals already, but they're going to talk about one that they went full cycle on. And what that means is they bought it, they underwrote it, they closed on it, operated, and sold it.
Well, you should get it. I mean, we know who does everything. I mean.
Do you need another one?
Yeah, but I'm going to give them each a mic so they can have a rap battle.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Who's doing that?
Are we getting feedback? Hold on.
Oh, that was
That's
your...
my mic. I just turned it off.
Oh, we'll give you a different one. One of them's making weird noises.
It's that one.
Oh,
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
yeah.
A little better. This is my amazing better half, Chuck.
Evening.
And my name is Melissa. We're the Crabtrees. And a little bit
They have
about
fans
us.
tonight.
I know, right?
An entourage.
I mean, really, real people, real results, real program. We're here to kind of share that. I think that's really our message about us and our family. And so, Chuck, do you want to start and kind of explain?
Sure, absolutely. So you can see what we've got up there, a little bit of our background. But we did join Lifestyles back in 2017. I had a coworker of mine that was familiar with the program, wasn't in it, but had a friend of his that was in it, and he just happened to mention it in passing. And they talked about drinking the Kool-Aid at the seminar on the weekend, so I jumped right in and joined probably about a month after I went to the 2-day.
Okay.
And it's pretty exciting.
Well, what's your background? Before Lifestyles, what do you do for a living?
So I'm in IT, been in technology
What?
for 20
Wait,
plus
because
years.
I get a lot of nerds.
A lot of
How many
nerds.
people are in IT in this room? There you go. All those people are full of it, just like you.
And the amazing Melissa, ex-education, been in teaching forever, little stint in technology before becoming real estate professional.
Where's my teachers?
So, also a nerd, just a double
With 3
nerd.
teachers. Also a nerd. Teacher nerd.
Teacher nerd.
Nerds are cool because all my students are nerds. Who's with me? Who likes Star Trek? Who likes Star Wars? There's the door. You got to have standards here, right? Star Trek's real, Star Wars is fake. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I guess because we've come from education, I was the one who was able to step out of my job first. Teacher salary, that was kind of all we had to replace. It has a whole lot of hours of work, and I was promoted to admin, which was awesome because it was 12 months round, and I think I maybe made 1 cent more an hour, maybe. So we knew that with all of this work that we were doing, after a rule of 90, meaning my age and my years of service, I would get to retire on like $800 or something with a master's degree. So it just wasn't making sense for our retirement. And so Chuck kind of found a different and better way for us.
Now, before Lifestyles, I mean, because I know you guys are getting towards that, but did you do a lot of the 401k, IRA, TSP, dollar cost averaging, all that kind of crap stuff?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've dwelled with single family in the family. We've not to make a career out of it or anything, but it was more so trial by fire. We bought a new house, couldn't rent the old one in 2008, stick that for rent sign out there, and it just rented. So we weren't doing it to look for a career replacement at the time.
So the accidental landlord thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we literally fell into it. And then over the years, Chuck has his IROP credentials. So through the apartment association, through the National Apartment Association, you can have classwork and credentials that help you to make these decisions in a more educated way. I cannot tell you, though, the value of Mike and Terry and Don and Brian Sifford because, well, I've called them all. I know every single one of his phone number.
It's great that you have all this book smart, but then there's a hands-on walk the property with me, show me what to do, hold me by the hand.
Right. So LU has really assisted us with that. But I am CAM certified, which is how you learn how to manage these apartments. I'm CAPS, which is how you learn to manage a portfolio. I'm CAM-T, which is also maintenance. I've got CPO just to kind of cover
That way she can clean your pool.
Right. But more importantly, I actually don't do any of the work anymore. However, having the understanding of what each of those positions looks like in the operations, I always kind of talk to the team about we're like a watch. We've got all these cogs that help us to turn, and each person kind of walks up and turns their cog, and if somebody's not turning it, the whole team, goes down. So with LU and with the education, we can kind of plan that a little bit better so that we are only spending an hour and a half a week, I work more than that, but when you're very strategic with your time, you can be very successful with a small amount of time. And I think that's kind of the goal.
Cool. Well,
Sorry, honey, I'll let you talk on the next.
She loves to talk, but that's pretty much us in a nutshell.
you're the one with the clicker. You got the power.
Waiting on you.
So don't forget the part that you self-manage too.
Correct.
This is unusual. We try and have people self-manage when they buy these assets because that's part of the learning. Sometimes you can't because you actually have a full-time job. So you usually have to third-party these assets. But to their success, they have grabbed the bull by the horns and self-manage, and they've been extremely successful. So kudos to them.
And the reason we say this is, who's going to care the most about your money? You are. You understand that? Rather than third party. So I love that idea.
Absolutely. So why did we join LU? We talked about it just a little bit briefly on there. Already believed in wealth building via real estate. So my brother and I bought our first single family back in 1999. We refinanced it twice so far, and that's helped some seed money come into to growing this a little bit. But we didn't know how to do it the right way. And so LU's got so much education and processes in place to help you learn how to do it the right way. And so the next bullet point, my husband made me do it. So from her side, it's a pretty funny story. I actually joined LU in 2017. I mentioned about a coworker bringing it to me, and so I attended the 2-day and then signed up for LU and didn't tell her.
No, it's still not.
No, wait. Okay.
Show, but it's not.
I'm aware of what's going on in my household. So when we were early on married, he said, I want to be retired very early. That was a goal. We started our marriage that way. We started our family that way. We were very disciplined in our finances. And we always had the house money and the investment money. And quite frankly, he's got a master's in finance. I've got master's in curriculum. So I was the kids and he was the investments. And I didn't really watch the investments. And that was a great thing.
So she saw some of the single family stuff that we had done, and then I joined LU, went through the training and everything, and kept nudging her. You really should go to David's 2-day because there's a lot of information to learn about it and kind of see what we're doing. And finally, after about 4 to 5 months, she decided to go to the 2-day. And then came home and said, we should really join this and let's do this. I was like, great, we did it about 6 months ago.
Who understands that one?
We already did. Okay.
I didn't know that.
I love that story. I got to remember that this
Husband
weekend.
made me do it. So,
Yeah.
But looking back, we've talked about it because the first couple years, you are putting a lot of work and effort in to get this snowball growing. But once it's there and you get staff and everybody else helping out on site, you're buying your time back and it gets a lot easier and we're in a lot better place. And she's excited for where we're at right now.
Absolutely.
And that's something we teach. We teach you how to put a team around you. This, especially when you start getting up to these bigger assets, it's a team sport. You cannot do it yourself. I don't care who you are, you can't do it yourself. And what we teach at LU is put your team together. The better team you put together, the less you're gonna have to do. Like she said about the cogs. Well-oiled machine works really well. And that's kind of what we teach.
And it's a one-sentence thing that Dell teaches. Do it for yourself, but don't do it by yourself. Does that make sense? Learn to pay other people to do the work for you. It's hard to do because we think we know everything and we're the best at everything. But I love what she did. She educated herself, CAM this, all that. She will never do that stuff. But she knows when her guys or girls are doing it, what they should be doing. And she can just do a little tweak. Yeah, that's great that you do it, but this might be a little better. Let's look at it this way. That's the point of education.
And I think to kind of piggyback off of that, one thing that LU has from foundation up is just the support, not only of the mentors and the actual true program, but I cannot tell you how many times I've called other leads. The other leads support you just as much. And because we have this abundance mentality just in the program, I've not had a single lead say, I'm not going to share that with you
Yeah.
because we win together.
So, and let's add to that too. We open our books to each other, to everybody. This is because we're not in competition with each other. So we're very open with our numbers. Once a month, yesterday we had what we call our lead monthly meeting in the room over there. We had about 85 leads. And that's a lot of experience.
Now, what a lead investor for the new people, that's why I want to
Sorry.
stop
Yeah,
them. They're
yeah,
using
yeah.
big words. A lead is a syndicator. They're the ones who put the deal together. And these 85 people might have between 10 and 200 people in every one of their deals. So all these top people that own thousands of units of property get together and open their books. Now, here's what Mike's saying, and it's very powerful. Let's say you have a Sunoco here and an Exxon there. Do they open their books to each other? They say, hey, how much are you paying for this, or how much are you paying your employee? But Chuck and Shield will go over to their competitor right across the street that's another Lifestyles member and goes, I'm paying my guy this much. I don't need him more than 20 hours a week. We could share him between the two. Does that sound better? And we all grow together. I got this cheaper. Maybe you should do this. I use this contractor. We open our books to each other. That's what he's trying to say.
I think we're also better too with our passives. You know, being in partnership with them, they're in other deals too, and they can bring questions or ideas or thoughts there too. So it's really a really unique program where we all really have a relationship that helps with success. So this evening, the property that we want to talk about is called The Point on Hubbard. It's located in Garland, kind of off Lake Ray Hubbard by the Bass Pro Shop that's located down there, like off 30. So it's a 32-unit property, 84 build. We purchased it in January of 2020. We paid $100,000 a door, so we purchased it for $3,200,000. Our cash out of pocket was $1,280,000. So they went back to talking about leads and passives. So Chuck and I didn't have $1 million in our bank account to be able to put towards this project, and so what we have is we have passive investors that partner with us, and the passive investors, their major responsibility is to read reports, understand what's going on, and then get that mailbox money. You know, we do ask. You know, I've called passives and had conversations with them. So I guess maybe we ask a little bit more, but it's more like, hey, what's a good idea that I could put here? Or, you know, that sort of thing. So as a passive, you're not on site. You're not taking care of things. You're not watching you are watching the numbers, but you're not making those finite tunes to make the results of it. But you definitely are such an important part to the partnership because we can't do it without y'all.
So how many partners did you have in this deal?
So in this deal here, we had 34 different passives come into
So I'm going
it.
to ask a couple questions here because it's very important for the new people listening for the first time. And they may not have ever had experience, and they can still be in your deals if they're a Lifestyles member, right? So of these 34 partners, how many of them are all right here from Texas?
Very few. You can invest
Can you
wherever
name
you
some?
want to.
Yeah, so what we teach here is live where you want to live, invest where it makes sense. So do you remember any states they might be from? Just a couple of them?
Washington,
Arizona,
Tennessee.
Tennessee, did they have all their teeth? No,
They did have all their teeth.
But my point is, and now, what was your lowest investor? What's the lowest amount?
So on this deal, our lowest investor put in $25,000.
Okay, so remember I said you can have as low as 25K? Now, if a deal makes 100%, whether you put in 25K, 50K, or 100K, everybody makes 100%. Does it make sense? There's compensation as well, but don't worry about that right now. We'll get into that later. I just want to make sure everybody understands it. Now, here's another question. These passive investors, remember, they're doing all the work. This is a full-time job for them. You understand that? They don't get to be lazy because they're taking care of your money. You understand? So, but your passive investors, all 34 of them, when you first bought this deal and you're going through looking at it, making sure it's the right deal and everything, of those 34 people, how many of them do you think showed up to the property to look at it?
Probably none.
So does that make sense? The point I'm trying to say is the guy from Tennessee didn't fly in just to go see the property and put in his 25 or 50K. He read the reports, he learned how Lifestyles, he talked with his passive mentors, made sure the deal's right for him, then he decided if he wanted to invest or not. You understand? So your point is you don't have to be in it. So some of these members in this room, watch this. How many people in this room are in 5+ apartment deals already? Raise your hands. So look around. There's hundreds of hands up, 5+. They didn't. Now watch this. Of all the hands that just raised, how many of you been to every apartment that you invested in? Not one hand went up. You see, you just be a show off. No hands went up. So of the 100 people, none of them. That's my point. Yes, the first one you'll probably go, oh, I got to see it. I put in my 25 grand. I own all the toilet seats. You understand? I want to see them damn toilet seats. You understand it? But as you get more experience, you won't do that.
Absolutely.
That's why I wanted to bring that up.
So we talked about the 1.28 million. That's what we raised with our passives. Well, that doesn't complete us to the 3.2. So we have another partner, which is our lender,
right?
That comes to the table and helps bring the rest of the capital to it. And so we got our loan terms up there. It was a Freddie Mac small business loan, interest rate 3.64. I wish we could go back to those days.
Who remembers that? That was a long time ago, 1947.
5-year term, 30-year amortization, and they have what's called a prepayment penalty if you get out of the loan early. We had yield maintenance on this deal.
Okay.
And that actually worked out really good for us in this market because
Yeah.
at 3.64, when we sold, rates had gone up. So when rates go up above your interest rate, your prepayment goes way down. It was almost nothing when we sold.
And I'll talk about that later.
So one way that passives can get involved if they want to, when you're analyzing these deals and you go through a due diligence process. So you have your plumber that scopes your lines, you've got a roofer, but then you go through each and every single unit of that property. And you're looking for a couple things: the condition of the unit, what you think you're gonna have to replace or repair, if the unit is actually even physically occupied.
Absolutely.
You know, sometimes things happen on a rent roll that might be a mistake.
And remember what she's saying, because I go through this about an hour on Sunday when you come to my seminar, what she's talking about now.
So you have a very general idea and a business plan going into this property of what you're going to actually repair, how you're going to increase the income on this property. And so for this property, we had budgeted $122,000 for CapEx budget.
How much to fix it up?
Right. So we knew that if we put this money into this asset, that we would be able to increase the NOI. And the
which makes
NOI
the
is
value
how the value of the property is
New
determined.
people don't know what NOI is, but don't worry about that. Don't have to explain it. I'll do that this weekend.
Stealing all of David's thunder for
I'm
this
sorry.
weekend.
No, it's not that
Sorry.
you steal my thunder. It's the new people go, well, I got to have a doctorate's degree and a master's degree to understand it. Here's what you understand if you're new people. Do you have 25 grand? Could I double it? Hey, that's all I need to learn tonight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of different numbers on this page, and once, like what David said, he's going to teach more about this weekend. One of the things I'd like to focus on is cash-on-cash return, 6 to 8%, and then the distributed. So this deal's gone full cycle. We bought it in 2020, sold it last year, went full cycle. We raised $1.28 million with our investors to make this deal happen, and we gave back $1.3 million at the end of it, which was 103% return. So they talk about the doubling up every 3 to 5 years on your
Who'd
money.
be okay with 100% return? When you give them a hand. So you see how excited they got, type Bs again, very conservative people. But when you make over 100% return, there's a technical term in the industry. What is it?
Pee in your pants excited.
See, he even remembers that.
We've done it twice now.
Yeah, twice, he peed twice. He's wearing Depends now.
So to explain NOI, you're going to have an income on a property. So income on this was $459,000. Then you're going to subtract out your expenses. So you have to pay all the bills, unfortunately. And that's $218,000. And then you have your NOI, which is what is left. To value the property, you're going to take the NOI with some market conditions. And so we're in a really interesting and exciting market right now. There's a lot of advantages to where we're at. But when we purchased this, it was 2020, so we were battling COVID. And then, should I tell it? Do y'all want to hear like a personal story on this property? So we went on a so when you value a property, you're like 90 days. So we saw this property in fall of 2019, and we closed in January of 2020. So long time between identifying it, offering it, contract, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we go on a ski trip in December, and I busted my ACL, like severed it clean. So I couldn't even walk. So when we took over this property, I was in like full surgery. We had a first resident retention, and my leg is like totally, I'm like, I'm here.
They
I'm
called
here
you
to
models, right?
manage the property. So despite all of those things, we were able to return a really great distribution. So I think we can contribute that really just to being super conservative. You know, Matthew Pearson is another lead, and I'm going to quote him because I think he said something really amazing when he did his case study. And he said, one thing that you can rely on is that whatever plan you put in place, there's going to be some hiccup. Something's going to happen. So, you know, if you can identify risk and just try to plan the best you can against those, you know, you can come out with a pretty good success. So
going into this property, you know, everything's normal. January 2020, did not know what the next couple months is going to come into play for us. 2 months later, what happened?
Shut down.
COVID, world shuts down.
Half people died.
this
Oh, no, that was
happened.
Thanos, right?
Everybody's trying to go
Walk.
virtual. They're shutting down their offices, not getting showings on site and doing virtual showings. So, I mean, it's totally switching your game plan.
Who
on
loves
how
that
you're
they
gonna
made
run.
100% during the plague? Bring back the plague. Who's with me? Yeah.
Not only the plague, but we ended in a financial crunch.
Well, that's what I mean.
That's where
Yeah,
we're at
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Plague. So,
My point is, the reason I'm bringing this up, and I love the timing on this, is up or down markets, we kind of make our own economy here at Lifestyles. We buy distressed assets, we turn them around, we make them beautiful. It's workforce housing, and the end result is what? A beautiful property and returns for their investors.
So the next couple of slides will be a couple before and after pictures we took. The property really didn't have a name. Condominium for rent.
That's a good name.
That was the name.
So that was the name, condominium for rent.
So we bought this off of I'm sorry to jump in. We bought this off of a family
You'll realize the women are in charge of this, of every apartment.
who owned it since 1991,
late 80s.
late 80s. So long time this family owned this. And so obviously he just thought it was called condominiums.
Okay.
So yeah, we came up with the point on Hubbard, and the O for the point's got a navigational symbol in it. We're right on Lake Ray Hubbard, so the whole nautical theme we thought was pretty cool for it. And the landscaper that was with the property when we bought it, he had been there for just as long as the previous owner had, and he would come through and just do seasonal flowers and just pretty things up. And so we actually kept him on. That was one of our biggest amenities. It's a small property, didn't have a pool and all this stuff, so just the lush landscaping that had is, and it's just beautiful. So going into this property, this deal and the previous deal that we did, we like going in with a hybrid model, and David will talk more about that this weekend. This one was more of a hybrid. We like the yield out of it, where you're going to get steady cash flow, but we always look for a value add component to really be able to boost NOI. This 32 unit had 2 units that were down units. The previous owner was using one for a maintenance office and one for a leasing office, so he's getting no income off those 2
Remember
units.
that, because that's something I bring up this weekend.
So when you get a small property and these are two bedroom units, it's the larger units that were down. So when we took over, we immediately moved out of the leasing office and moved into one of the 1 bedrooms until we could get our plan going. The pictures you see on the left was their maintenance office, and this unit has not been lived into in like 20 plus years, and it was more just a storage yard of junk.
Now, I know you guys haven't been to seminar yet, but think of this. Those 2 units, let's say, because they bought it like $100K a door, that's $200,000 of value they lost by it not being rented out. All they had to do is fix those units. They made $200,000 for their partners already. Does that sound powerful? And there's 10 different ways they did this. So that's what we're
Absolutely.
learning here.
So
Well-
the maintenance office, we just immediately pulled everything out, kept what was usable, trashed the rest of it. If you look at that, I think they were renting for about $1,200 a month. Just up the road, we got a storage unit for $100 a month and moved all of our
Does that make
crap into
sense?
it.
So when I tell you stuff in this seminar and you say, that's not believable, you just heard it real time up here, okay?
But I don't fault them. They just didn't really have a business plan that they intentionally went in and performed. I mean, I can't help but look in this photo that there's like 4 toilet seats. I think that's $40. And then maybe like a thing of acetone that's maybe like another 3. And then this one's got DAP that's maybe like 12. So you're losing $1,200 a month to store
$50 worth of crap.
$60. Yeah,
It sounds crazy, but see, you got to realize, how many people heard this? 90% of small business go out in the first year. You heard that? And of the ones that survive, 90% of them go out in the next 5 years. It's because of 2 reasons. People are either undercapitalized, can't run a business correctly, or poor operations, meaning they don't have someone to teach them how to run it. It's a family business. They mom and pop it. That's what we call this. So you bring in professionals that are trained by professionals, and they can increase that. That's what they're doing. They're seeing it as opportunity.
So for unit turns, we did do granite in here, going back to what they were saying about you just need to know where you're at, what location you are, so that you're updating to match your market. You don't want to over improve, but you don't want to under improve. And so we did granite. I'm sorry, are you going into that? Sorry.
Sure, we'll go into it a little bit. So back to that maintenance unit. Go back one picture again. So in this unit here, you can see the kitchen on the right, like she was talking about the granite countertops. Actually, go ahead and go forward one picture. You can see it better in here. So if you look on the left, the kitchen, you've got a bank of cabinets above the counter. The counters were either
Opened up,
white
yeah.
on the bottom, brown over the top ones. So if the counters were in bad shape or they were just old, we'd come through with the granite and 3 centimeter granite. Get rid of that bank of cabinets. Get rid of the 80s fluorescent light that was in there. Come in with can lights, pendant lights over the counter. Stainless appliance package. A lot of these units were in really good shape, and the flooring was really good, but the previous owner just, whatever was on sale at Home Depot, he'd put in there. And so they were all mismatched.
Nothing was standardized.
Not standardized, which makes it difficult if you're trying to repair something on down the road and it's not standardized. So this was kind of our standard upgrade at the time. All the units, I think, but this one, had crown molding in it. You can see that on the left side. The one on the right is I think that was the old maintenance office. It didn't have crown molding in it. We didn't go back and put it in it, but I think all the other units did have crown molding. And then we went through with stainless appliances and fixtures throughout the unit. One thing I did want to say about that, so when we got on site, and you learn once you get on site trying to how to run it, this was the smaller of the 2-bedroom units, and so the rents I think were $1,050 or $1,100, and the larger 2 bedrooms were going to be $1,200. Well, there wasn't much difference in size, so we went ahead and tested once we fully renovated it. Let's just go ahead and push to the higher
For
rent.
everyone, yep.
And we started getting it. So then we just started doing that on all the other smaller 2 bedrooms.
Cool.
So I just want to preface, how pretty is that kitchen? Now, they weren't all white. Some of them we did leave the darker brown, but across the property.
Let me tell you how it works in the apartment industry. Only 2 rooms matter in that whole apartment. What are they? Kitchen and bathroom. And who picks the apartment? Women. Women, not men. They have no say.
So this was a project that we did on the left-hand side. This was our old mailbox area. It was this wonky kind of structure that half of it was an alcove, and there were mailboxes there, and on the backside there was storage. And when we moved out of the unit, I was like, gosh, wouldn't that be really great to have, get out of that $100 storage, self-storage that we were doing, but still have some maintenance. And then also somebody's got to be there to meet, your prospects. And so we put up this nice little, what we called the hut. It wasn't an official office, but, it was an area to conduct business.
Sign a lease or something, yep. Cool.
Picture on the right, that's the final, almost the final. We had the cluster mailboxes that got added, and there's actually a lean-to cover, cedar cover over that too. And then behind that, you can actually see the finished the hut. It's got
here's the problem. Once you start buying apartments and owning apartments, you think mailboxes are sexy, and you don't show pictures of your kids anymore. It's mailboxes. Just trust me.
But the hut was nice because we could have maintenance items in it. Like she said, meat prospects there. We had internet in there. We had a mini split, which is your air conditioner to keep it cool. So it was an awesome project.
So your next slide, when you do these numbers, a lot of stuff up top is mumbo jumbo for new people. It really comes down to the bottom line at the bottom. Do you want to go through that?
Absolutely. So on this slide here, and remember, this deal's gone full cycle. Sometimes you're showing pro forma numbers up here of what you're expecting to get to. This is our actual numbers. We've already sold the deal, and this is what we went through. So year 1, 2, and then we actually sold at 3 and 3 months. So you've got your rent and income, operating expenses. You really get down to the bottom with your cash on cash. And we've talked about our underwriting being extremely conservative. This was not our pro forma.
Yeah, you might have promised 6%, but you did better.
We did.
Who likes that better when you're conservative? Of course you do.
So we've tried to, in our deals, be as conservative as we can. That way it's better to outperform than it is to underperform and get all those questions. So good numbers here, and this was before our lead compensation, so slightly higher.
Now, really quick, guys, just so you understand, I can tell my super conservative mathematical people when they present compared to other people. You know how I can tell? They don't round anything. And $2 and $1. No, does that make sense to y'all?
I took the cents off there.
I know, but who's analytical like that? See, I want to know exactly.
I like that.
But if you look at the NOI or row, this is where your valuation's based off of. So if you look between year 1 and 2, we had a pretty good jump in NOI. So we got those 2 units back online, bringing all that income in, getting out of the storage unit, coming to 100% on site. You see the big boost there. Well, then the last year is not a major boost, but we also had some other expenses that came in.
Now, there's one thing I want to point out that tells me somebody who understands what they're doing. In reality, I see people write up their deals and they cheat their numbers. What do I mean by that? They don't make their expenses go up. A good person makes their expenses go up because you do have costs go up. A lot of times we take over these properties, they're run by people who don't know what they're doing. They're not paying their employees and staff enough. They have to put those numbers back in. So I love seeing that. Give them a hand for that. That's actually a good thing.
So, well, one thing I do want to talk about, though, is, we talked about kind of that plan, that business plan, that CapEx that you go into. It is a set number. So we went in with $122,000, and I had to make that work for the whole business plan. So you're kind of got your eye on that as it dwindles down every year, and you can't help but pay attention to that. So this is where the team really supports you, because right about that year 3, when the rates started to change, we were able to get out of that yield maintenance prepayment penalty. We had a potential option to sell. I made the phone call and I said, look, I've got this much left where I could boost income, but I think that my expenses are going up this much more. So I really think, as much of a great asset as this is and how much I would love to stay and hold it, it's worth the most for us in our partnership today as it's going to be, because I don't have the funds to get over that hump of those expenses.
Right.
So being able to understand that is where LU supports you.
Yeah, and it's a powerful exit strat. You don't want to hold a little one 30 units for 20 years. You understand? 3 years, get out, double your partner's money. Awesome plan.
You want this one, or I get it?
No.
So you can see at the top, the $1.28 million, that's what we raised with our passive investors. That was our total all-in to acquire this deal. We kind of just went straight from the purchase price NOI to our sale year on some of the numbers. Property value, you can see we paid $3.2 million for it. We actually went under contract and sold at $4.7 million. Debt payoff, that's you typically have 1 to 3 years of interest only going into the loan. So year 1, we had no debt, no principal pay down. Year 2, you can start seeing that come in, and then year 3, we paid the loan off because we sold it. So you got the total payoff. Return of investor capital. So we raised that 1.28. We now give that back to the investors. That's 100% of their original money back to them. And then you see what's left on top of that. So total cash on cash that we paid dividends on throughout the 3 years, plus the sale proceeds of it, gave us a total of $1.3 million in 3.25 years. So that's above the 1.28 we raised. So 103% return on original investment.
Did you see how excited they got? Give them a hand. Who'd be okay being a passive in that deal? Just put in there. Okay.
So it said you put in 122 out of pocket, got profit.
Well, we'll take questions in a minute. Let them get through the slides, and then we'll definitely get to your question. Okay.
So how did we increase the NOI? We increased rents. We did bill back water, RUBS, pest control, a couple different fees in there.
And don't worry, I'll teach you what rubs are this weekend.
We did put in unit washer dryer. So we would go ahead and outright buy those, and then, hey, it costs this much more to rent it. And then we brought those 2 units online.
Cool. They liked you so much, they gave you some awards.
So, okay, going back to the community, there was another lead that nominated us for Independent Rental Owner of the Year through the Apartment Association of Greater Dallas. And so this is us. We were finalists. So we were first loser, but that's okay. It's okay.
Oh, we don't let losers get on stage.
We were finalists. It was Terry was in there as a finalist with us, and so yeah, I mean, it really.
We had stiff competition.
Yeah. But just just looking around. I mean, the map, if you follow it, obviously is successful. I mean, it's kind of.
And you're like, well, what do these awards mean? Let me explain this in simple English. It has nothing to do with lifestyles. So let's take it like a basketball analogy, okay? We'll pick a good team, not a crappy team like the Mavericks. So the Spurs.
Oh,
Hey,
boo.
well, okay, let's just ask a reality question. How many championships have the Mavericks won? One. How many have the Spurs won? 5. Okay, so let's keep going. I made my point already. That would be like Popovich, who is the, manager of the Spurs, firing the entire team, taking brand new players from high school that never played basketball, and bringing them to play the NBA. Now, what's the chance when there's 44,000 applicants that go up for a national award? That's pretty rare, right? And then that, by some dumb luck, that one person wins. And then the next year, he fires the whole team and takes another brand new guy that never did this before. And he wins. And we've been winning these awards every single year, going against people 20, 30 years in the industry. That's the testament to lifestyles of the value of its education, where we can take brand new people that never did real estate before, go against people who have been in the industry 30 years doing it, and make better returns for our members. They make their own returns. It's their deal. You understand that? And also the quality. Look at it. They take something ugly and make it beautiful where they can be proud of it. And some of the biggest thanks they get isn't just from their investors. And I'm going to ask this question to them. Have you ever had a member, one of your residents, come up to you and thank you for the changes? Share one of those type stories, because I love hearing about how the community changed from takeover.
So this was
It doesn't matter, any of your 3 properties.
Absolutely. And this one here, it's a small property, close knit, and when you're self-managing, because we self-manage all of our properties, we don't fan that out to somebody else, you get to know the residents. And we did here. We actually spent one of our Halloweens with the kids. They're over here too. I wish I'd have put the picture up there. We went and reverse trick-or-treated at the property and gave candy to all the residents.
Oh, I thought reverse trick-or-treating, you take candy from them.
So we went out there and gave candy to them, but you're getting to meet the residents, and they really appreciate that, and they see that and know that you're coming out there, and they loved all the changes.
Cool. There you go.
I think too. So Terry and I have been on the IRO committee through the apartment association. She was chair, and then I was chair last year. And so I think when you see outside in our industry, I mean, our industry is really, really huge, and DFW is one of the biggest, associations, markets out there. And then you look at how they interact, and then you look at how we interact, and it's night and day difference.
Yep.
Well, this is your quote.
Shocking. So it's basically given me the freedom to control my schedule. So, I was a teacher, and
So
Thank you.
Adrian was too.
but your kid's next door, and you have the party, and you have your teacher friend come to you, and they're like, I'll take your class for 10 minutes so you can go over there and be a mom. And then you have the other parents looking at you like, oh, you're in the middle of a class party and you're ducking out, and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be a mom, but you're just kind of stretched a little bit, right? And I think everybody, no matter what your career, if you're stretched, right? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to spend your time at the end of the day? And so, I work probably more hours than I probably should. I'm not gonna lie
love
there.
Doing that myself. I want to working for your money.
Yeah. But at 4:25 every Wednesday and every Friday, I am not going to answer the phone. I'm not going to be with a vendor. The only thing I'm doing is picking my son up from golf, and I pick him up with 2 other little boys, and I get to hear about their day as I go drop them off at their house. And it is about the 12 minutes twice a week that I have with my son that I just cherish. And I don't have to ask a boss to be able to do it. I don't have to ask anybody to cover for me. I just get to do it. And so for me, that's priceless.
Cool. And is he in your schedule?
12 minutes a week.
When that phone rings during that time, I still get it answered.
Sometimes.
So we're gonna open up with questions in a couple of minutes, but I just want to ask. There's a lot of new people, and I remember when you guys come to my seminar and stuff. What advice would you give to brand new people, haven't done this before? It's a big step for them, coming to the seminar, giving up a weekend. Did you have either an aha moment in the seminar that made you change your minds about real estate, or something you would give advice to new people? You each have your own version, whatever.
Yeah, so just don't be afraid. I originally stepped into this for the single family side of it, and I wanted to learn how to do leasing and everything else and delayed financing and all the good stuff. But once I got in here and they started talking about multifamily, I'm like, that sounds like it's going to make my plan go a little quicker towards retirement. And so you've got the resources here. Don't be afraid. Step up.
So you actually
join,
skipped
take
over
action.
single family, went to multifamily because you realized, hey, that's actually easier.
We did 2 single family
Okay.
at the time we joined. We did 1 passive, and I had asked fellow leads a couple questions. If you had it to do all over again, would you stay passive longer or just jump straight to lead? And he said, I wish I could have done it sooner.
Yep.
So 12 months after we joined LU, we had already closed on our first multifamily deal.
There you go. Good. Very good. What would you say?
So I think for me, it is what you make out of it. When I say I work more than I probably should, it's because, like he said, I enjoy this season that I'm in. I'm having fun. And so, if you come and you don't show up to anything and you don't do any of the training and you're not involved, well, you're not going to get anything out of it. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that, it is what you make out of it. It's not really going to be, life's not handed to you, right? So get
80-20
in.
rule.
Yeah.
I want to take it one step further, because what you just said is very powerful, because it's me. I live this stuff. I never turned off 3 a.m. People would ask me questions. I'm dumb enough to answer them. So your circle of friends, since joining Lifestyles, has it changed? Because I find a lot of successful people at Lifestyles, it's like, wow, I found my best friends here. But I don't know of yours. That's why I want to know what your opinion is on that.
So we just had a Christmas party that had some invites that got out of hand. We had a lot of invites, and it's
100 invites and 71 showed up.
so, I don't think it's that we've swapped from one group to the other.
Out of 71, like 2 were Lifestyles members?
Oh, no. But I do think that we have a lot of friends who are like, I see what you're doing, and, it makes sense. And I'm like, well, come on. Chuck and I, neither one of us started with some big bank account that was given to us by either one of our parents. We started because we just ate ramen noodles for a couple more weeks and padded the bank account that way, and we just did it ourselves. So it's very doable for somebody who's just a normal
So to
person.
follow that up, you can have anything you want in life, just not right now. In other words, they had to pay their dues first, okay?
And after 5 years of being in Lifestyles, I finally got one set of our parents to come up tonight.
That's cool. So I want to ask you a question, because I think this is powerful, and you can share this if you don't want to share it. Your net worth from when you started till now, has it doubled, tripled? What do you think? Some people say 10 times. I know you weren't prepared for that. But.
Yeah, it's funny looking back at that PFS, because I keep all of them, and it's probably quadrupled since we started.
So 4 times. So that's relative to everybody. If you have 100 grand, it's 400 grand. If you have $1 million, you're worth 4 million. Who agrees that's pretty powerful? Give them a hand. All right. Good. Next slide.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I forgot. Most of
sorry.
you got it.
Control.
Sorry.
Yeah, you have all the control tonight. I'm not used to it.
am I doing?
You scheduled the
driving.
control. Remember, you said schedule everything tonight.
So what's next for us? We've got some short-term goals up here. First-time grandpa.
Oh, that's
Any
awesome.
day now. I sent these slides in, 2 weeks ago?
You should have scheduled it for tomorrow.
So she was due on the 16th.
Okay.
But Monday, I have made a trip out to Nacogdoches, and at 9 p.m., I'm now a grandfather. Beautiful little girl, Ellie. And, our goal as parents, you want to leave a legacy for your kids and get them more involved. So we've got 2 of our sons up here tonight. Of course, they're playing on electronics over there. Get them more involved in real estate with us. We want to continue to grow, lock up our next deal. And unfortunately, this 4th short-term goal really should be on long-term, because we've had it up here for 3 years now. I still work a W-2 job, so hopefully someday, maybe this year, I can finally retire.
Here, here.
Long-term?
Long-term goals, we started doing some more passive investing. We've got a couple deals that we've closed in January that we're
And I want to stop him for a second, because it's very powerful. Even though, like me, I'm still a lead investor, he's still a lead investor, we're very involved. We still invest in other people's deals, right? So, because that's part of legacy too, is what happens if something happens to us, we want our kids to have something. So we're investing passively as well. I just want to make sure you know that.
Where did we reinvest after we sold the point?
So continue to invest passively. Some of these deals, they're so awesome that you want to keep it within the group. We reinvested back in this deal because an LU aspiring lead picked it up. And
Oh, so the deal you sold to another Lifestyles member, there was meat on the bone, and they invest with them. I've done that several times.
We stayed in that deal, and that's actually going to be the road trip next weekend.
Oh, kinda cool.
Next Friday.
There you
To do a road trip to that property. And for
Who
us,
likes that you leave meat on the bone for the next guy, and then you say, it's so good, I'll leave my money with you.
absolutely.
I love
and we
that
love
idea.
the property. We didn't want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
We may buy it back someday.
You hit your business plan.
Exactly.
Time to sell.
And people say, well, why would you give up? Guys, as you grow, there's something called the economy scale. When you get to your third, fourth, fifth, you don't want to run a 30 unit anymore. You want to get to a 50, then to 100, then to 200 units. The bigger it is, the easier it is. It's opposite what you think, but I'll teach you that this weekend.
Yeah. I've worked really hard on training staff, so
Yeah. They're all perfect now.
I want to let them have successes.
There you go. Yep. Awesome.
So there's a lot of people that go into your team on putting these deals together, and one slide's not going to do it justice for getting everybody on there. But Mike Spots was our mentor. Previous mentors we've had that are not in LU or in LU, but just not current mentors. And we talk about our passive investors. You guys are just as important to our team as anybody else. Any of the vendors, construction, GC, passive investors. If it wasn't for you guys, we couldn't put these deals together.
Really quick, though.
Yep.
In any of your deals, there are some of your passives in the room.
Absolutely.
If you were in any of their deals, raise your hands.
Awesome.
So they're all, why are you in the back? You should be up here if you made 100% return. Why you tell you?
And some
guys.
of them have been in 2 of our deals, and we've
Oh, how many been in 2 of their deals? Oh, look at the same hands. They must
All right,
really
we go
like.
for
Oh, they
3?
made 100% more than one.
3.
3 deals? Oh,
There we go.
so you're really happy with them. Okay. But you're veterans, veterinarians, right? Same thing. What's that? I know he's retired. He doesn't have his practice anymore. He's not allowed to work on walruses anymore, whatever he does.
So
Not that I remember all your stories.
So we've got our passives. Marcus and Millichap, they're a real estate broker, so they helped us they were the representation on the selling, no, not on this deal, but on other deals.
No,
When
they
we
sold.
sold the deal. And when
They
we
s-
sold the deal.
yeah.
And then key
We-
principals, they help us qualify the loans. So all of our key principals, we've got 2 that we've used so far.
Okay.
And then some of our vendors, we've used Ramey King for insurance. I know Jeff King was here. Aaron Kelsel there's done an amazing job for us. So I don't know if there's anybody else you want to throw out there.
The Beezers,
The KPs, they're here. yeah.
without them, talking about somebody going
That's the
before
milkman.
you,
Milkman.
right? You have somebody who kind of assists and supports you in a little bit more. A little bit,
Capacity.
yeah, a little bit more capacity, and so they become your key principals.
And sometimes they just help keep you from jumping off the cliff and still moving forward.
Yes, I do that all the time. That's a good one.
And
guys
she
were-
did.
You guys were
Yes,
closer
if you
to this
don't
one.
buy it, we will. That encourages you. Yeah.
And LS Realty should be on here as well too.
Or if you don't buy it, we will.
Yeah.
That was our first deal.
Yeah. Okay, you guys want to take a couple questions?
Absolutely.
Right there.
On the passive investors, do they, once they invest, is there a monthly put out, or is it just at the end of the 3?
Okay, so let me rephrase your question, Rick, because there's people online. He goes, with your passive investors, Rick's new, so he doesn't know a lot about our program yet. Is it a monthly payout, or is it just at the end they get their money? Could you explain that to them?
So typically what you'll do is you may have up to 12 months that you're turning the property and getting things moving in the right direction. So you might not do distributions the first year. It just depends on the deal. But we try to do quarterly distributions throughout the year once you're cash flowing. And I think every one of our deals so far, we've started within the first or second quarter starting distributions. And then, of course, when you sell the deal, you get the sale proceeds, your original money back plus the sale proceeds.
So if you're new, I mean, they're talking about their deals. Every deal's different. It's typically distributions are paid out quarterly. It's in an LLC, which protects you. You own shares within the LLC, and the reason they pick an LLC is it's straight tax benefits to you as an individual. You don't have to understand all the mumbo jumbo. You get a K-1 each year, which shows your depreciation, all that. I know I'm speaking a little bit higher level here. You give that to your accountant. You said, I made 60 grand a year on my cash flow, and it shows a 90,000 depreciation. You pay no taxes. That sound simple? So they pay out quarterly, typically.
So you're not floundering out there. They're giving you
They're doing
monthly financials. They're
Yeah,
giving you
you're knowing what's going on
updates
every step of the
every
way.
month. So it's not. It's
Emails
12
go
months
out
till
each
you're here.
month. It's a summary of how we did for the month, and they'll have financials attached to that, so you can see what the property's
Yeah,
doing.
so you look at that and go, oh, that's horrible. Oh, that's horrible. Where's my check? That's what you do, okay? Yes, sir.
You paid $100,000 a door. Was that based on, was that negotiated or?
So the question was, when you bought it initially, you paid $100,000 a door. How was that negotiated? How did you come that number?
So when you're underwriting these deals, they're going to provide you what's called a T12. It's their last 12 months of operating and income on the property. And you're underwriting based on that, tax adjusted, insurance. So you're getting all these numbers ahead of time to come up with a valuation. And then they might have a price out there that they want to sell for, and your underwriting might have this price. And then y'all negotiate it back and forth to try to meet in the middle. And we did on this one to right at $100,000 a door.
So if you come to my seminar on Sunday, I'm going to break down, here's the numbers, what's your crap, what's your real, how do we run it? What's the value? What's our increase on that? That's how we look at it. There's a lot of due diligence goes into this. Way back there.
Is there a lifeline if things don't go well?
Great question. Is there a lifeline if I screw up and things don't go well?
It's called Mike Spots. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
And that's why you have a
Call me.
mentor. But like what she said earlier, it's not just the mentors. It's not Dell. It's not me. It's not just operations. We have all of us, but it's also all these other 80 people willing to open their books up and said, you have a fire, don't worry. We all had fires. Fires are nothing. Oh, you had a death, don't worry. Ask her. She'll show how to put them in a body bag. I mean, Terry does everything.
Fires are not that big a deal. I've had
Is it
6
blood?
of
Is
them.
it breath? There's a call list for everything and a checklist. The backhoe, yeah. They call me up for that one. And the dump trailers. I got that too. Good question. Anyone else? Boy, you shut them all down with that one.
Hey, David.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir. You're wearing a red shirt. Are you the first one off the Star Trek ship?
New or old? Anyway, 2 questions. One is, do you get a paycheck as you're running the apartment?
Great question. So as a lead investor, I'm going to rephrase it. Do you get a paycheck as a lead investor?
So there's a couple different types of fees that get charged on these properties. You have an asset management fee and a property management fee, and those two together is 5% of total income. And if you hire a third party, then you're going to pay them part of that fee out of your bucket. Then they have what's called lead compensation. So we do get that fee, which is after it's all the money that's left over. And when you're doing a distribution, then we put our lead compensation fee on that. And LU's got a structure that they'll talk about.
And I teach you that in the seminar. So the easiest way to understand this is it doesn't matter what the lead makes, it's what's in it for me. So after his compensation, after everything, how much am I putting in my pocket?
Yeah.
If I'm making 100% return, I don't give a crap. Does that make sense? I don't care if he's making 600 grand a year. Does that matter? As long as he's making me 100%. In fact, if he's making 600 grand a year, I want to make 2 million next year because that means I'm making more money. Does it make sense? So always looking at what's in it for me. Now, if you want to be a lead, it's very lucrative. You can make millions of dollars a year. That's why they do it. They're not doing this for charity. They're not doing this for free. They make a living off this. Does that make sense?
And you want your lead to have a comfort that they've put the roof over their family's head so that they're not focused there. You want them focused on your proper
That is
your
a
property.
full-time job. They got to be dedicated to
Yeah.
it. Absolutely. You have a question, sir. I'm sorry. I forgot. The guy from Reading area asked a question earlier. A little slower than the rest. It's okay. Go ahead.
I'm younger than you. So you guys put in out of 129. You guys were about 10% or so.
Okay, so the question was, go do the whole question. Then I'll rephrase. See, he's from the Northeast. They cut you off.
10% yourself, and then you got back basically a quarter million. You stuck it back into the investor, and then whatever you got.
Let me rephrase that because the people online got to hear it.
That's just your hard.
So the question was, of that 1.2 million, he assumes that you put in 10% of your money, of the capital raise yourself, and the money you got back, whatever that money was, you then put in other deals, correct?
Yeah, but I'm guessing that was about a quarter mil.
So he's guessing it's about a quarter million. So if you don't mind sharing that. So
Absolutely. So I think the rules have changed a little bit, but when we were in your first deal, you're required to put 15% of the capital raise.
now it's less. But
Now I think it's 10% on
Yeah.
deal 1 now. Deal 2 was 10%, which is what we put into this deal. So we put about 105K into it. We got that 105 back and 200 and change on top of that. And then we put her the minimums for the new lead going into the deal.
That includes your fees though at the end because you guys will get paid.
It is. So out of that 1.3 million, that was total cash back. Then we pull our fees out of that.
okay.
The passives get their initial investment back.
You make
Like,
them
we
whole
make 'em
first.
whole,
and
right.
then we don't take a percentage until they're made whole. Does it make sense?
No, I assumed that.
Okay.
I already assumed that.
Okay, good. Yes, sir, one more. We'll do.
My interpretation of what she just said, what you just said was, there's about a 300% return on your initial investment, is that correct?
No.
On theirs, you're talking two different things.
120,000, you said you got your money back, and then you made 200 and some change on top of that.
It's going to be the percentage return that the property generated plus our lead compensation fee.
Yeah.
Hey, David, I got a question.
Go ahead, David.
I think you might have answered, but on the 32 unit, did you run a deficit at first when you took over the property, or were you cash flowing as soon?
So the question was, oh, he just said it. I've got it. It's David.
Repeat the question for people online.
Yeah.
So we were cash flowing from day one. We never had to run at a negative carry on the property.
So there are different business plans, though. You can do value where you're, it's kind of really rough and you're kicking everybody out, and then you are going to have that. Then you have the hybrid where you're kind of like, okay, there's a lot of really good projects that are going to give us a bang for our buck, but I'm really going to be that 90 for 90. I'm going to play with that occupancy game. We're going to let natural move-outs occur, and then we're going to ding the new ones with the higher rents. And then there's
Total yield, which makes money from day one. It's already in great shape.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, our focus has been yield, a little bit of a hybrid. So the yield, we like having it cash flow day one, but we've identified certain projects that are going to give us a value project, like the 2 units being down. That's going to be a quick value add that we can add to the property in addition to the cash flow.
So really simple what a hybrid would be, for example, the property's 95% full. It's making money, but the rents are like $800 when market rents are $1,000. All the interiors are 1970, so we have to upgrade them, but we have to wait till people move out. So it's making money from day one, but as they move out, we renovate. It's not all at once. The value would be it's 50% full, half the people are moving. That's what I buy. I buy ugly properties. But that's just
You'll see
a
some of
different
those
style.
this weekend, and they are ugly.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
But you make the bigger returns. So different styles, and I'll teach you all the different styles. You might want to put some in value, some in hybrid, some in yield, mix them up, different states,
Yeah.
different leads. Why different ones? You ask, well, if he made me 100% return 5 times in a row, they don't like hearing this, but could people get COVID? Could people pass away? Could people divorce? These things happen. It's human, right? Also, could there be a hurricane in one region? And it wipes out all the apartments. So if you put only in that one city, that's a problem. So I want you to put one in Ohio. I want you to put one in Oklahoma. I want you to put one in Georgia and diversify that way with different leads and different styles. That mitigates your risk. Does that make sense? I know that wasn't a question, but that was just me. Sorry.
Filling the gap.
Yeah. All right. Let's give them a hand.
Great job.
It's awesome. Now,
go
she wants to say one more
just-
thing. Go ahead.
I just want to. He is the most special person in my life. However, I'm keeping myself out of trouble. However, we're not that special. We just decided to dig in, do the hard work, learn whatever we could. And this room is full of leads that are highly successful. So we're just one example. So thanks for listening to
Awesome.